What's up guys, it's Punchy, and I always see a lot of you asking about my opinion on Deepwoken's current races, and right now I think they're a bit lacking. So I decided to give it another shot, and this time I modeled the Deepwoken race inspired by a land tortoise. Honestly, I have a ton of fun making these Deepwoken concepts, and if you enjoy my work, head on over to my Twitter. I'm always posting these on Twitter first, so if you want to see them, follow me for more. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and enjoy! Most Deepwoken races are inspired by commonly found animals like your basic canines and felines, but I've always been interested in the reptiles, and many of the NPCs found in the Etrian Luminant are, well, Etrian, and they resemble snakes. I think snakes are really cool, but it's about time for another reptile race. I hit up my boy Naktigonis, who also contributes for Deepwoken, and we both ended up brainstorming ideas for what could be the next reptile race. The original idea that Naktigonis and I came up with was a sea turtle, but I knew Archmage would shut down anything that lived in water. So our next idea was entirely land-based, and it was the tortoise. The tortoise is a pretty cool reptile that's found all over the world, and it's pretty recognizable. With many legs for stomping, a vegetarian diet, and a huge dome-shaped shell, the tortoise stands out from the rest. A lot of people think that sea turtles and tortoises are the same thing, but sea turtles are insanely different. Despite their similar appearance, they live primarily in the sea, they have flippers instead of legs, and basically have a smaller shell. So Deepwoken devs, the tortoise is entirely land-based and is not a sea turtle. After this decision, Mr. Naktigonis and I settled on this tortoise concept, and he presented a fantastic sketch for me to follow. And I just want to specify all of these race ideas are just for fun, so don't expect to see them in game. Of course, we all want to create something that works within Deepwoken's art style, but I have not been asked officially by developers to create anything. Anyway, I sat down, booted up Blender, and got to work. Based on the design that Naktigonis sent me, the tortoise race would have a simple design with a unique accessory. The facial design that I worked on in Photoshop would have different eyes, facial features, and a special looking mouth. Tortoise eyes are normally pretty small and have a layered appearance, but this time I gave it a shot with two different colors. I never actually asked Naktigonis if this was part of his shading or the original design, but I think it turned out great. To add on to this, I slapped on some facial features near the eyes that complement the eye color. The shape of these markings aren't supposed to be huge like Adroit or Celtor, but I think they look like scales or maybe pieces of the tortoise shell. And the final part of the tortoise face had a curved mouth that resembled their like beak jaws, you know, they're kind of pointy, that most of these reptiles have. It helps them eat fruits and plants, and it's a large part of their animal design. And that's all for the facial features for this tortoise race. But now on to the fun part. One of the most important reasons people compare dumb sea turtles to our epic tortoise race is because they have a similar shell. Both of these animals use their shell to repel enemies, and it actually works. They got these weird ass hollow shells that they hide in whenever something bugs them. Anyway, it's the main accessory for these creatures. I started working on a unique back accessory for this race that would be similar to the Ganymede hat. Again, you would not be forced to wear this, but you could always toggle this whenever you like. The first design of this basic shell was very simple for our tortoise friends, and it just felt super blank. So instead, I was thinking about the lore of this race, and I figured that different tribes of the tortoise could have different markings. I wanted to make some spiky looking shells that resembled hive patterns and tortoise shells, and here's what I came up with. Of course, I only made one shell design for my race, but imagine if there are multiple shell designs like the Vesperian. There could be a bunch of designs to pick from just like our beetle friends, or maybe there would just be one for each variant. It's something I have not seen in Deepwoken before, and custom back accessories, that would be really cool to see in game. That's all for the race accessories. The original design was green and gray in color, and I named this one the Cobble variant. Cobblestone covered in moss was the inspiration for these colors, and I think it could be the habitat for these critters. The next one up was the Arid variant, which had a tan brown type of color scheme. This one is my favorite, and it's supposed to resemble desert rock in arid desert environments. The final variant was the volcanic tortoise race that had a red and gray design. In Deepwoken's fantasy setting, maybe this variant could live around volcanic igneous rocks, which inspired the colors, and this one is also cool. And here's the final design for our tortoise race. Tell me down below which variant is your favorite. After I finished up the visual side of things, I decided to name our tortoise race the Tortuncle. In the typical Punchy design process, we're all about the memes here, and Tortuncle was just something funny that came to mind. For the lore of this race, the Tortuncle tribes are patient creatures that aren't really looking for fights, and most of them just hide in their shells, maybe move around a bit, but eventually they go to different places in rocky areas. Cobble variants went to places with cobblestone, arid variants hide in dry canyons, and the volcanic variants settled near the base of volcanoes. These guys aren't really hated, but you know, a lot of people like to harvest them for their shells. And the Tortuncles think that a slow and steady lifestyle always wins the race. I like this idea and stuck with it. For the racial talent, maybe this race could start with Turtle Shell. This card reduces backstab damage and makes you immune to Spine Cutter if you have a shield on your back, but instead of the shield, maybe they could just wear their shell. This might be too overpowered, so leave your suggestions in the comments down below. That's all the stuff that we came up with for the tortoise race. And I do want to say I could not do this without Naktigonis, so big thanks to him. If you like this idea, share it around. The more people that like these concepts, the higher chance you'll see it in game. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.